Snow lands on top. We saw the movie The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes in IMAX. That's right, in IMAX, but is it any good? We'll talk. Alright, how you doing today? It's Just Jess here. Hope you're having a good day. And today, yes, we got the movie The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and we went to go see this in IMAX, but is it worth it in that format? Honestly, absolutely yes. Why? It's shot with IMAX cameras, so what does that mean for you as a viewer? You get to experience the extended aspect ratio, and yes, I did notice that it took the entire screen, and in the interviews, which link below for the sources for this information, it is at least over an hour of runtime, which is awesome because that's a substantial amount of the movie. You see up to 26% more only in IMAX. The proprietary sound system provides powerful, in-depth audio experience. It felt more immersive. Not all of the runtime though, just like I mentioned earlier. The black bars are still there, but they're minimal compared to other IMAX certified in theaters movies. The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes is an action-adventure movie prequel adaptation from the hit movie series and book series from Suzanne Collins' Hunger Games. This takes place 64 years for the 74th annual Hunger Games, which what you know as Katniss Everdeen. This is the 10th annual Hunger Games, which known as President Snow, as Cornelius Snow, him and along with his classmates are trying to graduate school and gain the ultimate plinth prize. And this is the first time he's actually going to mentor the tributes and help them win. Will he succeed in having Lucy Gray win the 10th annual Hunger Games? And who is at the end a songbird and a snake? And is this true what the other outlets are saying, or bigger YouTubers, that this is the best Hunger Games movie ever? Find out as we talk about it. I'm gonna give you some prerequisites before we get into the meat and bones of this review. I am a fan of the Hunger Games. I love Hunger Games. I've seen every single other movie in theaters and also many times after the last one came out in November in 2015. I currently own the Blu-ray 4K movie collection of The Hunger Games, and I've seen it multiple times ever since the last one came out in theaters, and I even saw all 4 of them leading up to this release. Now, I didn't have the physical book for this type of movie for Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. However, I did listen to it on Audible, which I'll pick a picture on screen right now for you. It is not my preferred way to do it, as of course some of you know me on this channel. I rather have the physical books on hand to read, especially if it has romance, action, or drama. I will never do that again, having another audiobook. Don't get me wrong, I love listening to audible books or podcasts when I'm working out or driving, but when you're talking about a movie that I'm going to review, something that I love like movies, I appreciate that someone gave me the code for it. But no, we're never doing that again. I was too busy, preoccupied with Black Friday, shopping, deals, and getting ready for the season. So I do apologize about that. However, I did listen to the book, so I do have that going to me. However, if you're coming at this, if you're reading the book or as a fan, I can tell you this does follow closely a good representation of the book. Although there's some minor tweaks and changes. There is one big one that I talk about at the end. It deals with a romance part, and of course for me, if you know me, romance is a big thing, so of course we'll talk about it later. Although if you've seen the book, if you've seen the other movies, there's absolutely call-outs, nods, thematic scores, locations, and even references and tunes to the future of the Hunger Games, like Katniss Everdeen's theme, even some of the locations, especially District 12, hence because Lucy Gray is from District 12. So it sets the foundation for what the Hunger Games and the world is going to be later on, because I was gushing in my seat when I heard like the themes playing. I'm like, oh my god, that's Katniss themes, that's that bong for the tributes. I'm like, dude, this is amazing. I mean, of course it's a bad thing, the Hunger Games, but still, like, if you're a fan of the series, you're like, oh wow, this is where it all kind of started. I mean, this is the 10th annual Hunger Games. I just love how, if you read the book, or of course in my case you listen to the book, there is a lot of scenes and callouts, especially having the book fully realized in the movies. Let me explain. The movie follows a similar formula structure as the book. You still get the 3 major set pieces, which is the mentor, the prize, and the peacekeeper. And I loved how it gave us title sequences to know which second, especially like Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3. The movie, with a 2-hour and 38 runtime, goes through all the major plot points of the book, supposedly the big stuff, so it takes off a lot of fluff. Now, if you're like me, if you read the book, if you listen to the book, you know there's a lot of scenes that they took out. I mean, it happens for every movie, but I'm really happy that this was a faithful adaptation closely to the book. I mean, there were some tweaks and changes, we'll talk about it in a minute, but I feel like if you didn't read the book, when you see this movie, they hit every single plot point and like the same thing that happened in the book. They didn't really change much, I mean, other than the things we were going to talk about, but I love that it was more a faithful adaptation. And that's awesome because all the scenes that are meant to be big in the book happen in the movie, and I'm like, oh my god, that's the scene from this chapter this is when Snow does this, or Lucy Gray does this, or in the beginning, you know, when they're talking, like she attacks that person. It's like, what? That's amazing to see that fully realized in the movie. I'm like, F yeah. Finally, they didn't deviate too much from the source material. Like in the movie, ladies first. So let's talk about Rachel Zegler. She is not perfect. She's just beyond perfection. Oh, I literally was gushing every time I saw her. But she embodies Lucy Gray Barrett, especially in her singing. And of course, as Collins described, she's from District 12. If you don't know, District 12 is where Katniss Everdeen came. So there's similarities to District 12. She's a girl. And Collins, Suzanne Collins, is the author of the series. So Lucy Gray, yes, of course she can sing. Hint, hint. West Side Story, if you haven't seen that movie, she sings a lot in that movie. So this is definitely her wheelhouse. I loved, especially with her, I loved how dirty she can be, especially in the marketing material that you see in the trailers or the photos. As a guy, I gotta be a guy right now. Even as a guy, if she was dirty like that, I would still kiss her. I would still make love to her. I just so infatuated with Rachel Zegler. I just think she's fucking beautiful. Like, she's perfect. But anyways, aside from her looks, performance of her and her singing, she doesn't do it as much as the book. And a lot of people were saying online, like, oh, she sings a lot, it's not that bad. But she is a singer first and foremost. That's how she like came to rise. I mean, yeah, her acting is great, but she has this Western Southern accent that I didn't know she had in the book from Lucy Gray. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's trying to make it more sexy. And it's the way she navigates the Hunger Games accompanied with Snow, if she can trust him, which hint, hint, trust is a big thing for her. And the one thing that the movie had to make me feel was I had to be on Cornelia Snow, President Snow, on his side for the rest of the movie. And Tom Brinth, he makes that performance believable because I wanted him to win. I wanted him to be okay. I wanted him to save Lucy Gray. Like, I was literally on his side for the whole film, even towards the end when, of course, the big thing does happen and changes the way his whole career path works out. But I was like, dude, and that's the way the book made me feel, and also the movie. Like, yes, he was looked down upon in the book. Like, people tease him in high school. Oh, he might lose his apartment. He needs the plinth prize. Like, this is the Snow name. And I love how in the book says Snow lands on top, and he does land on top. I mean, in the movie and in the book as well. But it's such a stark contrast from what you know of him in the main Hunger Games trilogy to what you see here. I mean, yes, there is still like hints of like his evil pathways and like what happens to him as a result of his character development, which does take a wildly drastic turn throughout the whole movie, because this is a guy that hasn't had those motivations or tyranny yet, but based on his actions with Lucy Gray and this Hunger Games, based on the book, realized in the movie, you can actually see the transformation. Wow, because you can actually feel with him, like we're rooting for him, and then when he gets betrayed or you see like the cracks in his armor, like I can't believe he was that type of person. Remember, the movie's title is The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. So one of these guys is a songbird, one of these guys is a snake. And I loved how him and Lucy Gray had this chemistry. But also one thing I noticed in the movie is, of course, because you're visualizing it, you see the supposedly hints of their romance. Now, in the book, when I was trying to like visualize it, is it a romance because is it out of necessity, or is it because of different circumstances, or because he has to make her win so he can like go on to college and stuff? So it's a nice dramatic, like I don't want to say like monotone, but still diversity to see these actors or these characters of this group in Hunger Games try to navigate the Hunger Games, as well as their supposedly romance. Are they really in love? Is she just trying to bait him because she's beautiful? She's like, I'm gonna reel him with like my witchery and stuff so I can like win this. So it's a definitely push and pull relationship in contrast to the Hunger Games. If you've seen some of the trailers, you know how the arena looks like. Now, if you've seen the regular Hunger Games trilogy, the arena is so much different. And this series, the map changes. It goes from day to night. It's such more advanced technology. However, in the movie, it's more bare bones, but like I said, it's the foundation that gives the game makers and the future installments things to like live upon or add on. So in the arena, it's basically just one like gladiator room, but then there's a rubble. Of course, you've seen in the trailers, it changes the whole arena. They can go up, down. They still have those weapons. They still have their dong, but they don't have the sound effects like they do in the future installments. However, this is the first time they're using the drone technology. You know, when Katniss Everdeen gets like gifts, like water, like ding. This is the first time they use it. So, and I love how the tributes, like, and the drone technology don't get along just yet. And then the guy, the announcer, he's like, ooh, we're gonna focus on that next year. So you do see the world of Pan Am, the capital, the drone technology, even the technology, the fashion, the statements, everything blown out to proportion later on is more bare down here, but it gives you remnants of future installments. And it's cool to see that because the drone technology doesn't work sometimes. So as you've seen in the trailer, sometimes Snow use that for their advantage, but you get to see the districts as well as the capital in a different light, 64 years before any of like the best Hunger Games. I'm gonna touch on the rest of the cast for a second. Hunter as Tigress, I think she's amazing, and I think she's kind of attractive. Is that okay to say? I mean, what does that say about me as a dude? But anyway, she is a stylist in the future Hunger Games as making clothes for the tributes when they go into the Hunger Games, and I thought that was amazing because she has that remnants of like even making Snow's clothes, like, oh, Corleo, like, we're gonna need you, we miss you. That's his cousin, by the way. Viola as Dr. Gall as lead game maker has this like villainish tone, but like, Cornelius Snow, you need to do this. And I like how she had that like part to play, but changing her voice as well, like, you did something bad, I know your father. And I think I was like, dude, that's amazing. Peter Dinklage as the lead dean doesn't get as much as screen time as I thought he would, but he does have some nice character beats, especially when young actors are made with bigger actors in a like franchise film. Like, this is amazing to me as a fan. Of course, I'm already geeking out. Before I give you my grade, I'm gonna grade this an A, but I'm gonna do slight spoilers because this is a big thing that they changed from the book into the movie. Here it goes. So the one thing that I really noticed is in the book, they have their first kiss for the Hunger Games. Snow goes to Rachel Ziegler, of course. He goes to Lucy Gray, and after multiple times of giving her food, they fall in love. They hang out together, you know, they kiss in the I don't want to say barbed wire, but in like the poles and the fence. They kiss before in the zoo. They kiss before they have the Hunger Games, because in the book, during the Hunger Games, he's trying to have her win, like talking to other people, trying to other sponsors. This is the first time they have sponsors, so he's like, dude, he's in his mind saying, am I gonna have another kiss? Are we gonna have more future kisses? I don't know why they don't kiss until after the Hunger Games. Hint, hint, of course she wins, but still, in the book, they do kiss through the cage. They kiss through the cage, and I don't know why they don't show that here. I mean, yes, they show hints of flirtation, even back and forth glances. They even come together. You know how like some characters in the movies, like they come together and they go like this, and then they pull away? They do that here, but it's like, it feels like a disaster Romeo and Juliet type of situation. I just don't know why the movie didn't do that here. They should have had it here. I would have rooted for that because they would have give us, you, the audience, context. Their feelings are already emotion involved. I mean, yes, we can speculate and we can understand that they have feelings for each other even before the Hunger Games began, just based on their chemistry and their character dynamic. But it would have been nice to see that, especially realized in the book, because they kissed before the Hunger Games, and then to have their first kiss after. I mean, I get it, they're trying to have like old Lovely and Dovey. I was just like, dude, they should have still had their first kiss. But whatever, they do have their first kiss. Just because we don't see it in the movie, it really happens here, and I just feel like it changes the way people are thinking. I'm not gonna talk about the ending, although it just makes you want to like, oh my gosh, I can't believe her, I can't believe him, this is such a weird romantic relationship. Which, if you guys want, I can do another video talking about just like the spoilers, which I'll probably do next week for Thanksgiving. At the end of the day, I'm gonna give this a grade A. I'm sorry this movie review's taking a little while, but I'm very passionate about Hunger Games. If you made it this far, I appreciate you so very much. Maybe consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell so you keep up to date with the movie reviews information. And next week here in the States is Thanksgiving, so I will not be doing a full length video. I will just do shorts. However, I might just talk on the ending for this because it's a big thing. Take care, bye.